Welcome back guys to a new video and actually a new series on how to create our own first ever 3D character. So we will create a robot, as you can actually see from the references image right here. It's gonna be something super close to Claptrap. What you see right now is actually kind of the result we will get to till the end. I will not cover every single detail on how to model this. If you want an absolutely beginner introduction for modeling and stuff, I'd recommend you my playlist with a train tutorial. Yes, there are a lot of videos in that, but I explain you basically everything there is to know to create a scene. And especially I go very in detail into modeling, texturing, UV unwrapping, and actually even lighting and some geometry nodes for you guys. Yes, sculpting is actually not covered in that part. But even here, I'm not going to actually cover it that much, just because I think that will imply a pretty different level of complexity, which we'll get to. But I think hard surfaces are more than enough for what we need to do. And the difference basically is that for you know, guns or characters like robots and stuff, you can just do with plain old hard surface modeling, which is kind of what we'll use. So we will use the bool tool and the loop tools a lot, because those are going to be extremely important. The auto mirror is going to be one of the most important modifiers we'll work with, and actually it's going to be a pretty low poly character for you to actually be able to use in other projects such as games, animations and whatnot, and maybe, you know, even sell it if you really want to. So with this actually being said, I am going to stop you know, ramping on and on about this, and actually just tell you that I appreciate so much, by the way, let me thank you like this, your support in for the last few videos, for the last like 2 videos, especially the high Q ones. Because they got an amazing well, support from you guys, and I absolutely appreciate it. I hope you guys will like this just as much, and of course I hope you will actually give this channel more of a chance. Please share this video with your friends so that more people can actually see this, and you know, hopefully help me grow this channel to make it bigger and bigger, and be able to actually create bigger and bigger projects. I do have a pretty cool animation in mind for this at the end, so I hope you'll stick around till then. Yes, we have to go through the modeling, but there is actually something that will make it different. Besides, I think creating a little more of a more intricate model, because being a smaller model, so we're not doing a train anymore, we're doing just a small robot, it allows us to actually make more details in, and actually allow me to explain a little bit more on how to work on hard surfaces. I will also be able to show you guys a texturing program, which I didn't show you before, because again, it's a little more complex. And that program is actually the one right here, and it's called Pixel Mixer. If you're familiar with Substance Painter, or at least heard of it, this is a similar thing. It's just free, it's made by Epic, and it's actually an amazing tool that you can use to texture your object, but we will get there in time. We'll use both Blender and Pixel Mixer to work on our object here, but I just wanted you to know that we will do some different stuff. This is not gonna be the same thing like last time. And again, the animation is going to be way more special, because we will use everything we learned so far. So shape keys, and actually we will use some grid pencil, so make sure you check out for that. So with this actually being said, please give this video a like, subscribe to the channel if you did not subscribe already, and please guys leave a comment, because that would actually help me out quite a bit with the algorithm. And also I would love to know what you guys think of the channel, what you guys think of the series, and what else would you like to see. Maybe you actually would like to go way more into the animated shaders. I saw that you guys like that a lot, so I can actually do some more of that, because there are a lot more things we can do with that. So just let me know. All right, with this being said, let's actually get into the video. We're back to a new big series. Well, hopefully not as big as the train one, but still a pretty big series. And we're going to create our first ever character on this channel anyway, which is pretty cool. So I hope you do have the references. If not, I do hope you got other references to work on. By the way, from the beginning, I'll say I do advise you guys to try to do your own changes to the design and try to do some new stuff on your own, right? Because that is going to help you develop your skill in the future. And yeah. So as I did mention in the introduction video, Claptrap is actually one of the main reasons and main, I mean, as you can kind of see, one of the main references for our robot here.
I believe in you!
And actually, we're going to maybe bring some more details, you know, in the future while we're modeling. But for now, I think this is actually pretty cool. But for now, we have our sketch. My amazing drawing skills never fail to impress.
Obvious.
I'm pretty sure. And we're actually going to start to create our character. First things first, we're going to kind of block the shapes before we actually start modeling its shape on its, you know, part. So first, let me actually put this, which is the main body, right? So we will have to separate stuff. So the arms are going to be separate. Probably these claws here are also going to be separate. The antennas and like the radio head here also are going to be separate. The plates probably separate as well. And the main body, here's a deal, right? We could either make, sorry, I keep forgetting that it's a background image. We could either make these two separate objects, which might seem cool in the beginning, but I think it's actually going to create trouble in the future. Or we're just going to actually create this difference in shape. And I will show you how. So there would be no problem. But first, there's actually one more step before we start all this. And that is scaling, right? So actually, first, actually, let me get the screencast on. It's amazing how after so many videos, I still am not prepared with the screencast ever. I don't understand how I'm doing that. Oh, I keep forgetting that. So right here, you can see the dimensions of the cube are 2 by 2 by 2 meters, which is actually a pretty huge robot, and that is not exactly how this should go, right? So the way to do this one is actually more like a, not necessarily the tiniest robot ever, but we'll do it 1 by 1 meter. So definitely smaller than it is right now. And actually we will get our references to well, more or less, let's actually press Alt G. Get it up here. This is the side view, so I'm just going to move it back. Let me look at it. And now move it something like this. Make sure they are, you can see, you know, the side view and the front view easily. And actually, let me get this a little bigger. And yes, this will not make a super big difference because it's not like we're going to create a whole world around it. But actually, you know, for purposes, you know, like if you want to get this asset into a different program and, you know, make it work with all the other stuff, the scale is actually going to be a pretty important part of it. And I would like the scale to actually make a little bit more sense than I did before. So doing this, it's actually more or less accurate to what we need. So we can actually now play around with the scale more or less. Of course, I didn't draw this super exact, but I mean, you can kind of get a rough shape of it, and that's more or less the point, right? Also, after you make these kind of changes, don't forget to apply the scale. So the scale always has to be set to 1. By the way, if you're new to Blender and this is the first ever video that you see in Blender, or if you never created, like a more complex model, I do recommend you my other series, which is the beginner series, where we create a train. And I explain in like the biggest detail how all the steps, like from modeling to texturing to texture painting, the different ways to create textures, everything, all the good stuff is there, and I do recommend you to check that out. Now, in edit mode, select the bottom vertices. Make sure the X-ray is turned on, so that we actually select all the vertices. And let's actually play around with our geometry. Again, this is not going to be super symmetric created by me because, well, again, I don't really know how to draw. So, of course, I drew this, pretty badly. But again, this is mostly to get the rough shape of our robot. It's not meant to be a great drawing. So let's actually call this the body. Right? So this is going to represent our body for our character right here. By the way, the scope here, the mouth, the plate, and all that, we'll make those separate because actually we will want to animate that later on. So my personal opinion is that we should actually get this separate. We could, in theory, take this and maybe use like a vertex, like a shape keys animation on it. But I think that's bothersome. I think it's way better to just do it this way, to just go about it, just making separate objects where it makes sense, where the objects don't move. Like, for example, this display, it doesn't have to be separate. It would make no sense to. And yeah, we shouldn't necessarily do that. So, enough talking. Let's actually create a new collection, which is actually going to be called arms. And in the arms collection, what we're going to do is get another cube and scale it down on the z-axis. Make sure we actually also do it on the y-axis, and then try to set it up, more or less as good as you can with our arm here. And scale it on the X. And then now here, because we have an inclined, basically a trapezoidal, is that even a word in English? I'm not sure. Anyway, because we have an inclined face there, what we actually have to do is use a function called shear. And again, if you had made the beginner tutorial, I talk about shear a lot. And it's a very useful tool the Blender has. Actually, I think every 3D tool has. But you know what? We're doing Blender here, and Blender's the best. Because it's free. And because it's actually super cool. Anyway, enough advertising. Doesn't matter, okay? English is not my best friend today. I'm kind of tired, okay? So, applying the scale, again, make sure you always do that. And for those, again, that might wonder why should we always apply the scale, the big reason is if the scale is not applied, when you will do, you will put modifiers, or when you will texture and UV unwrap and stuff, which yes, we'll do later on. If we don't do that, it's going to create us a lot of problems. So I do recommend you doing that. Now, get the body and the cube, which is actually our arm, and let's actually move it and set it more or less at the, let's put it at the center right here. And the body, let's actually scale it, because I forgot to do it on this side, right? So I should also scale it up here. And actually, I'm pretty sure we're not, so I should do it somewhere like this. This is gonna be a little more close. Yeah, again, I didn't draw them exactly the same way that I should have, but we're going to be okay with that, okay? And also, let's actually take this down. Get this G and Y kind of around here. G and Y kind of around here. And G and Y here. I think you kind of got that point. Okay, I'm not gonna keep saying here, here, here because it's actually annoying me. Okay. This actually will stay here, and you'll see why in just a second. I mean, we will get it a little up, kind of like here. G and Y to move it in the center of this. And now SY to actually scale it a little bit on the Y-axis. And again, select your vertices, try to mimic the shape of our reference, or of your reference if you chose something else. And again, don't forget, please, to apply the scale and also save. Okay, from time to time, save, because otherwise you might lose a lot of time that you put in, and that would be a shame. All right, so we have this, which actually is pretty nice. And let me call this arm. I'm gonna put a big R there because the right arm, right? And what we will do is actually get the modifier, get the mirror modifier, mirror it by the X, and choose the mirror object to be the body. So always these arms are gonna be mirrored by the body, so they're gonna be perfectly symmetric, which is cool. Another thing we want to do in edit mode, actually not even in edit mode, I do recommend you to get the bool tool and the auto mirror add-ons because we're going to actually use them quite a bit. And here in the edit menu, from the right, you will see the auto mirror option. And if you press on our cube, on our cube and our body, press auto mirror, and actually this will create a mirror with clipping already activated for us to use, which is pretty neat because we don't have to waste time with that anymore, which is cool. Okay, so we have this, and actually let me get this a little bit more upwards, which is pretty good. And actually I will maybe take this a little bit like this. Yeah, that's good. On the main body, I'm gonna actually put also the, not another collection, sorry. I wanted to just add another object. So cube, scale it down, and let's put it up here. And we want it to be on this surface. And Blender before didn't really have a cool tool to do this. Actually, there were some add-ons that were basically kind of, working our way through this problem. But now Blender has something pretty cool going for it, which is if you press G and B, you can actually choose a point on your mesh, right? So let's, for example, choose this point right here. And now that will actually snap to your nearest surface, which is very neat and very convenient for us. But you have to also be pretty smart when you do this because, I mean, it depends on your reference. Of course, you can move it afterwards again. It's not like you're gonna get stuck, but I want to put it pretty symmetrically, which this actually is right in the middle. So it should be perfect. And now we can just move it G and Y to more or less the center of it. Kind of about there. And now we shall just scale it, but we all will press Shift and Z to not scale it on the Z axis. So just on X and Y. And let me look at this. Let me look at how this looks. So scale on the X and bring it down kind of about there. Somewhat like that. And something like this. And again, it might not fit perfectly with the image. It doesn't have to, because again, the image is wrong, not the software. So Blender is cool. Work with what Blender says. My image is not a bad. It's just, again, a very poor reference for our character, but it's just doing its job. It doesn't have to do more than that. Now let's create actually another collection. And we will actually put this in. Let me actually see if this is cool. I think wait, JY. All right, it looks a little more symmetric now. Good. So the scope, Shift A, and now it really depends. You can either put a cylinder in, which is kind of the easy way, and I mean, it makes a little more sense when you think about it. This is what we'll use, but you can also use a cube because you can make it into a cylinder, into a very low poly cylinder. But actually, you can also come to the vertices here, actually just set this to like a 6, which also kind of does the same thing. But actually, we want it a little more high poly, so we'll put 12. All right, so we're not going to go crazy with it, but we're going to go, you know, somewhere around there. And let's get a, I don't know, 0.2 for the radius, and the depth, I don't even know, like a 1 meter, and we're gonna actually 0.5 meters, and we're gonna work from there. So Gen Z, of course we will be able to modify this afterwards as well. I just wanted to do it now. With the cylinder here, we can actually just go and put it into the position to be our scope. So try to put it more or less into the middle here, kind of there. And now RX, not 180, sorry, RX 90. And that should do. And now scale, Shift Z twice, and now you can scale it down so that we can actually see the proper scale for this. And now SXX, no, SZZ to scale it on this axis. So let's actually make it, you know, not too big, but also not too small either. And this will also, by the way, intersect the body, the main body. So don't be afraid of it. This intersection, it's gonna be fine to do so. Let's actually get this also kind of around here, actually. And now ES to get this up. E. And basically, we now have the scope, right? And you can also move this maybe a little bit like this. Actually, no. I like the scope like this. That's better, yeah. If not, we can change it afterwards. So again, this is actually going to be the scope. Right. Again, I'm not going to create details yet. This is just a blocking phase to see where the object will come. And afterwards, we'll actually, you know, move with all the other things. Good. We can actually move back to the arms, actually. And let's see. We could select this face. Shift S, cursor to selected. And from here, we can actually put in a cube. Scale it down very much. S, Shift Z, and actually let's make this pretty thin. Actually, somewhere kind of around there. This should work. And because of that, I'm actually probably going to take this and make it a little larger. Okay. Again, don't be afraid if this doesn't match perfectly the picture, because it was never meant to be a full perfect picture, right? I knew that most probably we're going to change stuff, and as you can see, we will. So again, don't be afraid of that, just to do the changes. And actually, I do encourage you to, you know, put your own twist on the design. So let me actually get this a little bit up. Actually, no, not. Let it stay like this for now. And we're going to have this. This here will actually be a separate. It's gonna be separate. That thing, this here right here, it's actually gonna be a separate object by itself. Because we probably will sculpt on this just to make it look a little different from the other stuff. And also because we will actually need to do that. And you'll see why when we get there, but basically we will need to extend basically that part. It's going to work for like an extender of the hand, so that it actually, you know, helps our robot here to you know, move his hands properly, to actually make those hands useful, because if they are too small, it doesn't really help him that much. So let's actually get this part in position as well. Right? Right. Everything is right. Perfect. Right. I hope that was funny. Actually, it just came out kind of annoying, didn't it? And now let's actually just create this little part right here. Okay, this actually looks pretty good. And as you can see, this is actually not a cylinder, and this actually has to be a kind of cylindrical body, right? Which we will actually create by creating two loop cuts right here. And from the top view, what we will do is actually, no, still look like this. Actually, let me come all the way over here, and with Alt, left click, select the middle, only the middle loops, and then deselect these vertices in the middle here. And with the top view, press S, Shift Z, and then just get this up. Oh, but it's not gonna work because I was actually wondering what was going on. And yeah, wait, I created a problem that I didn't realize. These have to also be you know, to be in just like the others, which I did not do yet. It actually looks quite good. And let's see. So back into X-ray mode to actually see what we have. Let me take this maybe just a little more down, because I want the hands to actually kind of be, you know, well, apparently I exaggerate a little bit. Okay, and now we will actually want Shift S, cursor to selected. Let us have another cube. Scale it all the way down. And this one, again, create two loop cuts right here, get them up. This is just to make, again, the shape. It doesn't have to be anything crazy yet, all right? So don't worry too much about the actual shape of it. We're gonna get all the way there. This just has to be like, okay, this is kind of the way it will look. So let us actually get the shape of it right. So first things first, I think this actually has to be a little longer. And yeah, no, I say by my statement earlier when I say that I think the hand should be a little longer to just make our robot look a little different. And actually, I like it way more like this. Good. Okay. Let's also see the claw from the side. Okay, and let's scale it a little bit on the Y. Kind of like this. Maybe also make it into edit mode, you know, a little thicker at the base. And that is basically how the claw will look. Actually, maybe we'll just make it a little, you know, a little bigger. Good. So this right here, let me just call this. This is the claw. Right. And with all this, what we actually want is them to have the mirror modifier again on the X by the body. And instead of just putting the mirror for each of them, what can we do is actually select each of these. And by the way, let's just make sure the scale is actually applied to all of them before I do anything else. Okay, now select all of these. And what we will want to do is actually Shift, left click on this shoulder right here, press L, Control L, sorry, and just say copy modifiers. And what that does is actually will take the modifiers that this shoulder has, and it will apply to the others as well. However, you have to understand that when you do this, what you will do is you copy their modifier. So if you have, for example, another modifier on the claw here, and you copy the modifiers from this one, the modifiers that you had previously on this will disappear and will be replaced by all the modifiers that you found on the object you took the modifiers from. All right, so just a little warning for you right there, just so that you don't get tricked by that. Okay, and this here actually, it's actually looking a little weird. It's not positioned right. So that's a little more like it. Yes, I know it's a little too big right now, but again, this is just a blockout phase. We don't actually need anything too crazy. We don't need either details, either perfectly scaled stuff. We just need to kind of make the overall shape of our object, be good. And now, of course, we need the last part, which is the legs. Actually, let me create another folder right here. No, let's actually call this also radio, which actually will be put right here. Another one, which is going to be called legs. Actually, instead of legs, let's call it wheels. All right, so to add those, let's just add, we can add the cylinder. Again, 12 vertices, that works pretty well for me. And instead of actually adding it there, because that's actually not a good idea, we can add it. Shift S, cursor to selected, and it's gonna put it right here in the middle of this, which is exactly where we wanted. And now let's actually bring that cylinder out as Z. Put it somewhere around there, I would say. Right? That looks pretty good. S, Shift Z, and let's actually make it a little smaller. S, Z to actually make it thinner. And now we just will have to play around with the values to actually get what we want. And after we get that, S, Shift Z to make it again a little larger. And again, don't forget, what we have in the reference is actually not necessarily correct. Play just with the symmetry that, Blender gives us, because that's way better than what I did. Okay. This actually looks okay. Actually, maybe we will actually make this a little thicker. So this should come kind of about there. And so this one can actually move maybe just a little bit kind of around here. Actually, we can see it for sure. Shift S again. Shift S now. Cursor to selected. Take this, Shift S, selection to cursor, and now this is perfectly in the middle. And now G and Z to get it down from there, and it's gonna kind of be here. So this is gonna be support body. Okay. And actually this one, we will take this side and put it kind of about there. Select this, Shift D, and actually these two are going to be two separate parts, right? we will need it to be created like this. So this is the support body, up, and low. All right, good. And now, again, let's bring the cursor where we need it. Create another cylinder right here. As Shift Z to actually make it pretty thin. As Z to shrink it a little. And G and Z. And let's actually also look on the side here. S, Shift Z, make it kind of about there. Get this part and get it kind of here. Right, this is bigger than it's in the original version. So this is the first thing I drew. And then I realized while I did the other stuff that actually so while I did the other stuff, I realized that actually this should actually be a little closer to the bottom, so that it actually gets into the middle, of the wheels. Okay, so let's actually call this torque bar. Good. Shift D, Z, get the center of it there. Now air Y 90 to actually put it to 90 degrees. And is it just me or this is, oh, of course, I didn't apply the scale. And of course, also the origin to geometry so that it will be in the middle of it, right? Origin to geometry, origin to geometry. Okay, good. Because this helps me. And now let's put this more or less in the middle. And actually to get it perfectly in the middle, again, Shift S, cursor to selected, select this one, and then selection to cursor. And now it's perfectly in its middle. And that's exactly what we want. And actually we can get it a little more down to be kind of about there where we did design it to be. Because that I do kind of agree with. And actually this looks pretty interesting. So yeah, a pretty interesting deal, a pretty good look at our overall shape right here. Again, this is not gonna be as big as the train series was, because that was a much bigger object, a much bigger 3D model. But this is going to be way more concentrated on the texturing part, especially, and the creating of details and stuff. But until we get there, we still have, to have fun with designing this. And now, something I didn't like when I designed this actually was the fact that I thought that the wheels here are gonna be a good idea. Now I think they should actually be, either super big would not make sense. So maybe kind of about here should do. Yeah, I think this is actually maybe something like this. Because the wheels are gonna come like in between there. So let's actually get the cursor here. And now, of course, we will get another cylinder. And now R, let's get the Y 90 as X to get this down like this. G and X, and now let's just move it around and play with its position. Maybe kind of about here should do. Let's actually look at it from the side. So S, Shift X to make the wheel a little smaller. Also, you should look at like the overall, overall shape. And if you don't feel like the wheel, is big enough or small enough, you can take the decisions also based on that. At least this is the way I will do it. because it has to look good in the original version as well, in the 3D version. That's the whole point. And by the way, to see your solid view better, you can actually go to the shading here, activate the back face culling, the cavity. The cavity actually helps a lot, and in my opinion, the shadow also helps quite a bit. Also, to see these objects separately, I do recommend you to put this in a random so that it gives a random color to each of them so that you actually, see them a little easier. Now, let's apply the scale to this. And of course, we will actually get a generate mirror. And I got a mask, of course. Mask off. Mask off. After applying the rotation, if we mirror this on the X, now we should actually do... It doesn't do it right. Interesting. Oh, because we reversed. Yeah, but I applied the rotation. Shouldn't it work now? I guess it still sees it as a rotated cylinder. Anyway. So just apply it on the Z. And this is the overall shape right now, at least. Of course, we will change some stuff later on, and we will add some details. Okay, for now, we actually have one more thing to do, which is to create the antenna. I did forget of that, didn't I? I mean, when you look at this shape, you would probably consider taking a cone. I don't recommend taking a cone. The reason is when you take it, if you actually go into edit mode, you'll have this vertex here, which actually doesn't really help us too much. It would be kind of easy to, rather work with something that actually has quads instead of so many endguns. And what we will use for that is actually another cylinder. Because cylinder is full of quads, which we do like, and we can just scale this like this on everything but the Z, and it will work perfectly fine for us. Make it way thinner, like somewhere around there. And of course, we can again use our trusty and a newly introduced, let me actually set the origin to geometry right here and apply the rotation and the scale. And now press GB, and let me actually... This is the only thing I don't understand why they made it this way. You have to look at it like perfectly on the side here, which I kind of hate. But hey, it's on our body, and that's pretty cool. So let me call this antenna. That's good. That's nice. Put it also in the main body here. And this cylinder are actually the wheels. Wheels. And I wrote it wrong. But who would have seen that coming? No one will believe I actually know. No, actually English, I swear to God. I wouldn't believe me either at this point. Now one more thing I actually will put in. So I create this antenna with like an actual antenna vibe, but actually I want to make this robot a little different. And to do that, we're actually going to take a torus. Now, if you did, or at least know how the Blender gurus famous donut tutorial works, you probably have used torus before, and if you did that, you'll actually realize that it's actually a pretty easy geometry to work with. And actually, right when I said that, I did a big mistake, which is, yeah, and I lost that. God damn it. I got out of the edit mode of the torus, which is, I still don't understand what Blender doesn't give you an option to get it back. I mean, you can get it back, but just once. If you press any button afterwards, it's gone forever. I don't understand why exactly they go with that. So we're going to make a pretty thin ring. A very thin ring. Kind of... Not this thin. This thin is good. Is working for me. And now, what we gotta do is actually get this kind of up in the air. Okay, put it kind of around here. And we will actually have it float. Yes, you heard that right. You heard that in Premiere. Premiere here. We will actually have a few of them right here, which are actually going to, be of different sizes. But basically, this is how that will look. And of course, we will mirror all these. By the way, scale all of these, please. I mean, apply their scales and save. Don't forget to save. Very important. Save. I know this will sound very annoying to you. Me keep repeating this, but I learned pretty, quickly how bad it can be if you don't actually do that. And because I did that, at the antenna, actually, let me put this at head, or like, no, off. Right, so the radio goes on there, on that, the antenna goes there, and all these, press M to move them, and put them also in there. So these are gonna be floating ring. It's gonna be 1. It's gonna be 2. And this is gonna be 3. In total, 6. Because don't forget, we have them mirrored, and we have to, double the amount for the other side. That's actually pretty good. And actually, there's one more thing I should have done here as well. Well, not necessarily should have, because this is kind of more of a detail. But you know what? I'm going to do it anyway. Let me get a cylinder. Trusty old cylinder. But first, let me take a selfie. Toot, 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 toot. Jesus, I didn't hear that from like 2012 or something. Hope that actually got you some memories back there. And if not, you're too young. Or too old, actually, depending on you. So let me get this down and stop the cringe fest for a second there. And G and Z. Let's move this around a little bit. And actually, let me get this. I'm not using my reference that much, am I? Good. Again, this is just the beginning, and blocking out is one of my favorite things to do because you get to have a lot of fun with it. You get to have like super much fun with just playing around with the with the geometry, having to learn actually not learn, having to think on how your objects work, which trust me, it's pretty funny when you think about it. Because you do make all these things in your head like, how should that work? Or why should it work that way? Does it make even a sense? Most of the time the answer is no. Does it have to make a sense? Probably, but most probably will never have a sense. It just has to look cool, which it's kind of easy for us to do because we're pretty cool, aren't we?
We are.
Okay, so now we shall do a few more things. So actually, if you look at the references I gave you, in the back here, by the way, the references, you also get them on this video. So you find it on the part 0, which is the introduction where I talk about everything, and in this one as well. So there are actually 2 things that I want to do. First, the switch on the back here. And we have to put something for the air vents. But the main thing that I want to do is right here, actually. We're going to actually change a little bit the design. So basically, I'm going to actually take this and, well, actually, let's make it longer. Kind of about there, right? Then Shift D to duplicate it. S, Z. to kind of have it like this, as Shift Z to make it smaller. The reason I'm doing this, for those that don't really understand, is I want to give a little more intricacies to our model. I want our model to really look like it's, created of these intricate parts. It's not just simply a robot and it's there, right? It has these zones where it's pretty interesting. It's pretty hard to do. It's pretty, I don't know. I think you kind of got a point, though, right? And this basically will help our robot rotate around, right? So it will do it because of this. Let's actually apply the scale of this and this. And also let's get, this is not like a very important part necessarily. So origin to geometry and origin to geometry. But it's because I want to have that origin in the middle so that when I scale, it's actually going to scale based on that origin of it, right? And now let's copy this one more time and set it kind of around here. Right, this will actually enter almost all the way through. And now we have this little part here, right? So our robot has a little more, life to it. Also, we'll probably create some cables or something around here to, again, make it have some more intricacies, some more interesting parts. But for now, at least, this looks okay. We'll also actually duplicate this one more time. And actually, I'm curious. Is this, yeah, okay. So we are working on the legs. That's okay. Wait, didn't I name this wheels? I thought I did. So as Shift Z to make this way thinner. And actually, we will use this. Again, you have to look at our reference. I do think I actually have it on this. I don't. Oh, because this image is the old version. Yeah, right. So actually, I don't think I have it here either. Let me actually show you what I'm talking about. I have the reference actually drawn right here. I don't know how well you can see, actually. Oh, great. You can't see the drawing at all, can you? Well, that sucks. Well, I'm gonna take a picture and actually put it up here. And we will do those little sidebars that look, a little bit inclined. Because at least in my head, that will help with a little support. And actually, now I notice it. Claptrap does have something kind of like that in a way. Like this goes kind of like this, but it's not the same thing. So our design is a little different. How about that? I do think it's very important to have differences in our design, okay? So I just don't want, and I would never want to just copy something. Will I take references? Yes, absolutely. Because I don't think I'm good enough to not do that. Also, by the way, this is just a little me preaching or something, but I just think that there's no really original design anymore. Like, you cannot ever tell me that, there's an original design anywhere. Everything is more or less gonna be copied, at least in some shape or form, right? Because, I mean, it's the way things go. So let's actually get this maybe kind of around here. Does that work? I think it does. And with this selected again, let's press on E, X, and this will go all the way here. Now SX, 0, and now it's straight. And we have this corner. It's a little trick that I like to use to get, those sharp corners. And of course this, wait, I extruded it one more time by mistake. And now we will have it something like this, right? And it might look weird in the beginning, but of course, we will bevel it. Now, the thing is, for those that might not want to do all this, you don't have to. And actually, I remember, I do know for sure I did tell you this before, but I absolutely advise every single one of you to try and create your own designs or create your own little details. So yeah, actually, this is something that I will totally advise you to do, and I think it's the best thing to do. Um, so create different details than I did, because that will actually help you out way more in the future. So let's actually take that out because I don't think it helps at all. And now, as you can see, we have this little thing here. And of course, if we actually smooth this out, it's not gonna look that bad. It's actually not looking that great either. And we can actually just, shape this a little bit, like scale it down. I'm trying to figure out how much or how could I do this to be a little more efficient, right? Because I genuinely don't like that, the way that goes there. Oh, and the reason might be actually because of that. No, 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 no. No, I think we just have to. We don't have enough geometry, do we? Okay. Oh, I don't have the screencast on. Again. Yeah, so for you, this is the same video. For me, this is the second day. So that's why the screencast is not there anymore, right? And by the way, I will probably mention it in the beginning of the video as well. But I just want to make sure I said it. Thank you so much for the support you guys offered me on the latest videos. That was amazing, honestly. The last two videos did absolutely fantastic. I never would have expected that to happen, honestly. And I just feel like that was so cool to see you actually liking these videos and watching them such big numbers. To me, that was absolutely fantastic. And all I can say is thank you so much. I appreciate it so bad. I do know there are some people that don't like it, and that is fine. But I will try to improve on the way I edit the videos. I think that can do a lot of more improvement, and also the way I may talk about subjects and maybe the subjects themselves. Sometimes I personally feel like they're not that important, or I just make them sound a little less important, if it makes any sense. Like I could definitely make the talk a little better, so to speak. So now we actually have to figure out how to do this, right? How to scale this so that it actually doesn't look actually it doesn't look weird, that's it. Nah, it's good for now at least. Yes, we do have quite a bit of geometry there, but we can actually take it out afterwards. For now, we're not going to care about that too much. And now, of course, we're going to apply the scale. Set the origin to the geometry. It's going to put it in like the kind of the middle on its own. Also, let us delete these faces. So faces you won't see, you don't need to, have them, well, at all, right? Because it's just a surplus of geometry, which you can do very well without, because it doesn't affect you. And actually, it's just affecting you in all the wrong ways, which is, of course, I think you figured that out, performance, right? Because you add geometry which you don't actually need, and we don't really need or want that. Okay, and this is here. And actually, you know what? Maybe I'm exaggerating with this. Maybe not, I don't know. What if we rotate it? Right? Would that make sense? So let us actually take the cursor here. You have to change this, so the transform pivot point to the 3D cursor, just for this one alone. So let's not forget that, okay? And now Shift D, R, Z, and then rotate to 90 degrees. And now we basically will have the exact same object, but rotated. And there's something weird happening here. But I think I know what it is, and it's actually not an actual problem. It's just a bug. Yeah, it's a bug. I don't really understand what Blender has. So from time to time, Blender does this, which I don't really understand. Is it the normals? It's not normals, is it? Normals look good. No, it is. It might actually be the normals. So to flip the normals, which I think creates a problem here, go into edit mode, select everything, and then press Shift and N. And that will reverse your normals. And actually, this might be a problem. Be the problem. Yeah. All right. So that was a problem because the normals were, the other way around. It was basically showing the face on the other side, if it makes any sense. It showed you the empty part, not the actual face. And that could have been a lot worse if we would have gotten, to do more stuff. And now let's mirror this one on the Y. And now our robot has these supports, right? On on all parts, which is cool. So let us actually call this. So this will be rotating, I don't know, pivot or something. I honestly don't know how to name stuff. I think a lot of you did realize that. This is going to be torque bar 2 because there's nothing really I can name it otherwise. This will be support 1 and of course support 2. And that is pretty good. Okay, so now our robot has a way to, stand up. Can the real Slim Shady please stand up? Sorry. It just felt right. Yeah, great content here. What can I say? All right, so now on the back, so Control 1 to go on the back side. We will actually have to create that switch. So let me actually get it here. This switch right here. So to create that, it's actually pretty simple. Again, so Shift S to actually bring the cursor to the selected right here. Control 1 again. And now mesh. Let's create a little cube. Scale it all the way down. On the Z as well. On the Y, of course, this is gonna be pretty important. And now G and Y, and let's get it in front of us. That's pretty cool. And now we have to, of course, use the new trusty tools Blender 4.0 got us, which is not helping me that much in this case. And the reason is it's not rotating to the face, to the surface I'm putting the subject on, right? But there's a way to actually do that. If you go to snapping, all right? So select snap. Select, in this case, I would say face. I think this should do pretty good. Face nearest, and align a rotation to target. Make sure that's selected. And now, when you will actually, all right. So don't do with face, go with vertex. And something's probably wrong. Face nearest. And now you'll have to play around a little bit with this one. Okay, so I don't think it's going to work perfectly well, unfortunately. I mean, this works. This is pretty okay. Right? It does seem though that it's not very symmetrical put there, which I don't like at all. So another thing we could do is actually turn the snap on, or off, sorry, and GB again. Make sure you select this. And once you actually put it there, okay, that's much better. And now, so apply the scale, and let's actually call this. So this will be put in the main body, of course, and this will be the switch. Okay, and let's choose this face, insert, then extrude. And this is gonna be kind of the panel where you have that switch. Okay, so basically creating this these little switches. I mean, I have a case and the switch. I didn't really show how I did it because I mean you saw me doing it for the case, and here was exactly the same thing. It's just a switch, and I just drag this out. That is literally it. I mean, you don't have to work much more than that. Yes, we can bring some intricacies to it if you want to, because that will actually make it look a little more interesting. Sure. However, so for example, right, we can take this, and actually no, let me select both of them, take them both. However, because we have this here, right, and we don't want that, let's actually select this, bevel it, and let's actually just have one. That's good. Select both of them. Let's insert the faces, and let me actually try to bring it as close as possible. It's obvious that it's not gonna be, perfectly equal, but I will try my best to do it. So there's actually a little bit of a problem here, right? So SY0. So this will actually create a small problem if we do it this way. Why we want. I'm just going to play around with it like this. So try to play with it just so that you select the face and not actually, modify it way too much. That's still a little bit modified, but it doesn't really matter that much. Because what we'll do now is just extrude this very little and, scale this one. Scale this one. And now we have a switch right here. Same for the case. We will do more, again, a little more details on it. And you'll see what I mean by these details. And actually, let me do more or less the same for the scope. So right here, we'll have this, and this will be inserted. And now it will look something like this. So here's the deal. We're almost done with the first phase of blocking our body, right? We more or less have what we need. So also we can create that thing we talked about. So let me bring the cursor down here. Create. Actually, I can create a small plane on this for this one. RX. And now let's scale this all the way down. Let's actually take it and move it to the main body so that I don't forget, and call this plate. Let's call it plate body. Okay. And now scale it down. Let me actually look a little bit of the reference, because this time I will want to, look at the reference a little bit. And just have it somewhere around kind of here. What you will want to do, it's actually just well, first Control A to get the scale, and now go to edit so that we actually auto mirror it, and now we have only a half to work with, which is absolutely brilliant for us. Control B on this vertex, right? And now with this, what we want to do is basically split this vertex into well, another vertex, right? So you can probably should have been able to do this. So here in the bevel, let me. Okay, so by selecting this vertex, press Ctrl B to bevel, and nothing seems to be happening. Press left click, and now the menu of the bevel is actually out, and instead of edges, select vertices. So now our bevel is actually up here, and now we can just play around with the bevel, so maybe something around here. So 0.026 should do. We'll just keep it to 2 segments. That's more than enough for what we need. And now press OK. Now there will be a small problem with the split, and probably some of you did already figure that out. This has, and let me try to make a loophole, and we can't. Not a loophole, loop cut. Because we have an endgun, right? We don't have 4 vertices anymore. We have 5 vertices. So 3 here, 2 here. And to be able to actually make quads again, what we need to do is actually put this vertex right here. Try to get it with GG more or less in the same, direction with this vertex up there. And press J. And now because they are connected, what we did is actually create 2 quads, right? Yes, it's a little more geometry, but now at least we have quads again, which is exactly what we want. And we have this plate here, right? And what we want to do with it is actually mirror it one more time on the Y by the body. So we have the exact same thing on the backside of our robot as well. And as you can see, actually, this is on the inside. So I was not paying attention when I did it, and basically did a mistake here. But it's not that big of a deal because we can just get this kind of around here. That's one thing I don't really like about planes, though, is the fact that they are way harder to work with. At least if I'm being asked from this point of view, at least. So let me actually get this out. And it seems like I'm not. Okay, that's weird. I didn't know that's something that can happen. Okay, so actually probably snapping will work a little better on this one. Let me actually put this back where it was and just RX. Let's rotate it. GY, and now it's more or less where it should be. The reason it is not, it's because, again, it's snapping it, right? So as you can see, it's almost there. And now GY, get it just a little bit in front, and that is it. The distance is really not, you won't be able to notice it, and we don't really care. The reason is we're actually going to solidify this anyway, so we will have, thickness to this. So this will actually cut inside our robot. It's gonna be fine. But we just want to set a plate here so that we actually know where this will be, right? Okay. And because, again, I was not paying attention too much, I'm actually supposed to actually make this smaller. Kind of about there, I think it's better. And the reason for it, actually, let me pay attention, because this is a little bit of a more intricate part, apparently. The reason this is pretty important is because I kind of want the positioning to not be too bad, right? So some of you might have already noticed. So let me actually have it back like this. So SYY, and we'll scale it perfectly on the inclined Y of the body, if it makes any sense. I hope it does. And GYY, and we will have it kind of there, which should be fine. Good. Having it here, what will happen is now we will have the space to create our speaker. So basically this will be a speaker which, you know, will help our robot talk. Let me see. I created this for this reason. But actually I think, and I don't think I'm wrong when I do this, the scope should actually be up here. Because again, you have to think about the geometries where they will actually be. And because we have this, how shall I call it? This display here and that speaker there, we should not, you know, not necessarily waste time, but we shouldn't think too much about this part, right? We should understand that the display should be here, the speaker should be there. So yeah, there is that. All right, let's save our work so far. And from here on out, really, there's nothing I can actually tell you too much of. So what I will do is give you guys a little bit of a homework. Probably you hate that. I hope you don't. And if you do, I'm sorry for you, but you have to do this one. I think it's an important part. So what I want you to do is create details like this. So basically create extrusions, and in you know, in surfaces, extrude them. Create an interesting model for your body. Make your body actually be, you know, interesting. Make your body actually mean something, right? I want you guys to use this moment as the moment where you can go as creative and as, well, free as you can get, right? I want you to basically have this one for you. As I did say in the beginning, this is not gonna be like the last time we did it. We did such a model. If you want an absolute beginner tutorial, you have the train tutorial, which again, the link is gonna be down in the description of this video as well, just for you guys to have an easier way to get to it. But I advise you, if you did already do this, if you have somewhat of a, you know, a knowledge in Blender, try to work on it. Try to work your skills and try to create stuff on your own. Make designs, make little changes. Again, you don't have to do too many crazy stuff. So for the scope here as well, I selected everything, and here's a small thing I usually use, and I think it's pretty interesting and pretty useful. Go to select and press checker the select, and it will select, you know, like a modular. Basically, you'll have just like a chess table, one will be selected, one will not be selected, and so on and so forth. And then I to insert the faces, ENS to basically scale them on the normals. And now you have this on the camera, on the scope as well. So I will actually continue to add some details here and there, and in the next video, I will already have those details on. I will tell you a little bit of how I got them and how to get them, but I want to jump to the, like, you know, next part. So I don't want to, well, not necessarily waste, but I don't want to explain so much in detail something that I already did explain in detail in some other videos, because again, this is not that kind of course, right? This is a more intricate course and more, I don't know, important course, I would say. One thing I will do though, and I want to show you this. I didn't show it to you because I didn't realize I will do it actually. Let's select this. And actually with the tree, let's look at it. Make a loophole right here and one right here. Bevel this loop, right? Kind of about maybe there. There should be good. And let's insert these two faces. Actually, no, wait. Select. You know, let me take all this and look just at it. So select all these and insert all of them. Kind of about there should be good enough. And now what I want you to do is delete these faces. And yes, you will probably say that this is pretty dumb. And probably you would have a case, honestly. Because I could use Boolean to do this exact operation, only... Actually, you know what? We might actually just use Boolean. The reason I don't really like to use Boolean is because I have to clean the geometry afterwards, which is basically what I have to do here as well. So I don't know. Should I do that? Yeah, you know what? Sorry for this. So let me actually get back. All right, so create a loophole on the middle, create a loophole so on the vertical side, on the horizontal side. And what I want you to do is bevel this one on the horizontal, kind of about there. Let's actually take this on its own. Select this face, go into face select mode. Select this face, and these two as well. Actually, no. All right, so with this, what's it called? With this cube, with this part of the hand, really, of the arm, we have something to do. So what we will do is take this, duplicate it. So this is going to be called lower arm cut. And the reason I named it this way, it's because that's exactly what we will use it for, which is S, Shift Z to make this a little thinner, SZ to make it also, you know, to shrink it a little bit, move it a little bit on the Z. Now S and X to get it out. And this might look weird in the beginning, but it's actually not. What we will do with it is actually use a bool tool right here, which is gonna be the difference tool, right? So we will select this cut, which is our cutter. Also, by the way, apply your scale on this one, and then select your body that you want to cut from, and then press on the bool tool on difference. And then you will get this, which is the difference between one and the other bodies. Now, in here, what bool tool does, and this is why it's such a cool add-on. This is not just adding a Boolean modifier like we would usually get, right? This is not doing that. What this does is basically cutting physically through your object. So this is not a non-destructive way to work with, which in usual terms I would not suggest, because I think doing this at the end it's a little better, you know, to have non-destructive workflow. But for simple objects like this, it's more than okay to do it, and I think it's a little more beneficial for us. Yeah. And why I did this, right? And this is why I actually wanted you guys to see this. It's because we will create a cylinder in here, and let's actually scale it down because we couldn't see it. And because I opened Blender again today, and it's not the same one, vertices are not 12 anymore here, right? So make sure that your cylinder has 12 vertices, not 32, because we want it, at least in the beginning, to be a little lower poly, right? We don't want to go super crazy with it. This is going to be a pretty low poly object, character really. And now G and Z, SNZ to, scale this up, SNZ one more time to kind of make sure that these faces intersect. And now exactly what we were talking about a little earlier, let's delete these faces because we don't need them, and they do have, they do add, geometry that we actually don't need. Now we could do the same thing in front here, which I might or might not do. It really depends. Right now I'm not thinking on doing that, but it just depends, on what's going on. And don't forget, please, to use the references. For example, this idea actually came to me after I saw, what was it? It was either this robot, but no, I think it was actually Claptrap himself that I saw something like this. Yeah, so I saw this kind of piston, or actually it's a suspension rather than a piston, right here, and I was like, that's a pretty cool idea, because putting like this kind of mechanical sort of, intricacies here and there, it's actually going to make it look even more like a robot, and well, that is exactly what we want. So why not do that ourselves? Well, now we do. Now we do this by ourselves, and I think this actually looks crazy cool. So with this being done, I'm actually going to end the video right there, and we'll go to the outro. Again, I will do more details, so I will still work on the body, but not alongside you guys this time. I want you to give this a try. I want you to do stuff. Again, you can go by my reference and, create like the speaker and the display and stuff. That's cool, but also I would love for you to try to do it yourself. So try to create, your own models. Not models, but your own details. I suggest you to keep the model because it's going to be easier for you to follow, so that if I make a mistake and I redirect you, you can actually follow. But try to, put in some of your own details and try to work on. So I suggest you to use the loop cuts like this. If you don't feel comfortable using the bool tool here, you can always go and actually work with the Boolean modifier. Again, I do have a video. I do have a video from the train playlist where I teach you exactly how this works, so that you don't, you feel a little more comfortable with it. And that way you can add these small details to make your robot the way you want it, and not the way I did it. Okay. So with this being said, I wish to tell you guys only one thing. Thank you so much for showing up, and let us get to the outro. Okay guys, so this is it for this video. Thank you so much for sticking around till the end. Please don't forget about the free procedural fence tool. It's in the description down below. It's gonna be available until the 19th of this month, so make sure you actually get it until that ends. And don't forget, the second version will show up probably at the end of the month or something around there. Yeah, this is kind of it. So the modeling phase is probably gonna be done. Again, I will show up with already the modeled part and the details on. And I'm not gonna stay and actually do this, all the details to do them here, because again, I don't think that's necessary anymore. I'm sure you guys can actually do it yourselves. And I will still explain the details in the next video. I will explain how I created them, but I want you guys to actually try them out and try to see if you can get it by yourself. And again, I totally recommend you guys to try them yourself and try to add your own twist on this robot character, which I think is actually pretty cool. So with this being said, I want to thank you so much one more time for actually supporting this channel. The last videos were amazingly welcomed by you, and I am so glad you did that. I hope you liked this video. I hope you found it useful. And I will see you in the next video, which is probably gonna be part 2 of this series. So with that being said, I wish you guys to have an absolutely wonderful weekend, and to stay safe and be happy, because you totally deserve it. And actually be just, joyful that you do Blender and you can do all this stuff. With this being said, I thank you so much and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye guys!